Trying to buy a home the past few years has been really difficult for home buyers. You might have decided not to buy a home and wait until the home buying conditions get better. In this video, I'm going to give you some strategies you can use to buy a home now, even in a competitive housing market where buying a home seems impossible. You might wonder why it's been so difficult to buy a home. Basically, it comes down to there being a housing inventory shortage. This has been one of the main reasons that home prices have risen as much as they have and as quickly as they have, because basically there are more buyers than there are sellers. In some markets, there's still an inventory shortage, and in others, it may have gotten better. Some other things that have made it difficult to buy a home is the economy. We're not in the most healthy financial spot. The economy is very unstable right now, and it seems like there could be an economic downturn at any moment. Another factor was low interest rates, which you think low interest rates, that's a good thing, right? Because the lower the interest rate, the less money that you'll pay through the life of the loan. But what happened was during the pandemic, the interest rates were so low that this was encouraging buyers to buy so they can lock in a low interest rate. But this contributed to the competitive aspect of home buying, and home prices started to rise. I know that there were realtors telling their clients that, hey, the interest rates are so low, so at the end of the day, if you've got to pay an extra $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 over asking, it's not that big of a deal because you're saving so much money because of the lower interest rates. Which isn't necessarily wrong, but by having this sort of mindset, it made it where home prices, in my opinion, got out of control. So what can you do if you want to buy a home now, even though it may not be the best time to buy? Well, the first thing is financial preparation. You want to come up with a budget if you don't already have one. So what that means is going through your finances, figuring out how much everything costs, how much your mortgage payment would ultimately be, and all of your related housing costs. Then what you do is see if there's any areas where you can cut down. I know nowadays with inflation and everything that's going on, it's not the easiest to do, but I have found, even looking at my own budget, that there have been some things that I've been able to cut out, like different subscription services and things like that, which at first you might think cutting down $10, $15, $20, whatever it is, but some of that starts to add up and can really help you in saving for a down payment. As far as the down payment goes, there's a few different strategies you can use. If you know that it's going to be really difficult for you to save for a down payment, you could look into options where you either don't have a down payment or you have a low down payment. There are also down payment assistance programs that will either pay for all of your down payment or a portion of it. Then, of course, there's actually saving for a down payment, which if you're in a financial spot to be able to save a significant amount of money for your down payment, that's probably the best strategy to go with. But again, it's not for everybody. The reason I say that this is the preferred method is that if your down payment is 20% or more of the purchase price, you won't have mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is a monthly fee that's added to mortgages that have a down payment of less than 20%. Now, the mortgage insurance may only be $50 or $75 a month, but of course this adds up, and that money could have been going to your principal, for instance. Another reason why a bigger down payment is preferred is that the more money you put down, the less money you have to borrow, and then in turn makes your monthly payment less. It's also really important to understand your mortgage options, which this kind of plays into the down payment as well. So what I mean by that is there's an FHA loan, which you can put down as low as 3.5%. This is a really good loan product, especially for first-time home buyers who don't have a large down payment saved up. Maybe your credit's a little lower and your debt-to-income ratio is on the higher side, then you could be a perfect candidate for an FHA loan. There's also USDA loans, which are 0% down loans in rural areas. I've also seen lenders that are offering conventional loans that are 3% down and sometimes even 0% down. It's really important when you're shopping for a mortgage that you speak to different lenders because each lender will have different loan products. It's also not a bad idea to let the lenders know that you're shopping around because they might be able to give you a little bit more of a favorable rate to earn your business. It's not always the case, but it doesn't hurt to try. Another piece of the puzzle is doing your research and educating yourself about your local market. One way you can do this is by working with a knowledgeable real estate agent. If you need help finding a real estate agent, I can help you with your search. The link is in the description. Now, of course, I know many people don't trust real estate agents and think that they just open doors for people, and that's about as much as they do. which I totally understand that mindset. So if you're more of a DIY type of person, what you can do is educate yourself. So what I would do is go into my local realtor association website, and you can find different resources like stats, data, and charts about the local market. And from there, you can start to analyze things to see what the current market looks like. You can start to do trend analysis and guess where the market might be going and if it's a good time for you to buy or not. And if there are particular areas in your local market that might be a better buy than others. Another thing you can do is explore different neighborhoods. Sometimes you might have your heart set on one particular neighborhood, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but you might be able to look at a neighborhood in the general vicinity of the neighborhood that you're interested in, and there might be a better buying opportunity for you, like maybe it's less money or whatever. Now, with this being a difficult market, being patient and flexible can really pay off. So setting realistic expectations up front will help you to not be disappointed further down the line. So what I mean by that is going into the situation knowing that it can be a difficult market, knowing that there can be competition, that you may need to make a bunch of offers on houses before you get an accepted offer. Being flexible to the type of property that you might want to buy, like for instance, maybe single family homes are really difficult to get an accepted offer, but maybe a condo or townhome might work for you. And like I mentioned before, being open to buying in neighborhoods you didn't initially consider. Another strategy is to take advantage of opportunities. So I briefly talked about this earlier, but there are different government programs and incentives that you can use. There are first-time homebuyer programs, and don't get discouraged if you aren't a first-time homebuyer. Typically, a first-time homebuyer just means someone who hasn't owned a home in the past 3 years. There are down payment assistance programs. These are programs that help you with a down payment for the home. There are national programs, state programs, and local programs, charities, and other organizations that offer down payment assistance. I think working with a lender and a real estate agent who are familiar with down payment assistance programs is the way to go because there are literally thousands of these programs. They can be pretty nuanced and a little confusing if I'm quite honest, so having someone who's familiar with these kinds of programs and can help point you in the right direction is the way to go. Another strategy is off-market opportunities. So what that means is buying a home that's currently not on the market. The reason that you would do this is that since it's not on the market, there's going to be less competition to buy it. There are different ways that you can find off-market homes. One way to do it is you pick an area or neighborhood that you really want to move into, and what you can do is have your real estate agent reach out to the homeowners in that area or neighborhood to see if they're interested in selling their home. Now, this strategy doesn't always work, but I've definitely seen it work in the past. Another thing to consider is, do you know anyone like a friend or family member that's thinking of selling their home? If so, that could be another good opportunity for you. They might be open to selling it directly to you. You might also get lucky and they have an assumable mortgage. An assumable mortgage is a loan where the homebuyer can assume or take over payments from the seller. So if you're assuming a mortgage that has an interest rate of 3 or 4%, you would assume that mortgage payment. Now, there's a lot that goes into assumable mortgages, and I have some videos about that you can check out. I'm kind of simplifying it for this video, but it's something to look into because you could save yourself thousands of dollars by assuming someone's mortgage. I recommend assuming a friend or family member's mortgage because it can take a long time, like 3 months, to be able to assume the mortgage. And then there are a few other factors involved in assuming someone's mortgage. So it does take time and patience and willingness from the seller. And with a competitive market, a seller may not really feel the need to really work with someone so they can assume their mortgage. When buying a home in a competitive market, I think it's really helpful if you can maintain a positive mindset, which I know can be difficult because buying a home is a very emotional process. You fall in love with the home, you want to make an offer, you put your best foot forward and you make the best offer you can, and you don't get the home. Then you rinse and repeat this for 15, 20, or 30 times over, and you can really get discouraged when it comes to buying a home. But I think if you're able to think positively and know that there's a home out there for you, it can make the home buying process less stressful. When working with clients, I try to coach them through this aspect and help them set realistic expectations of what they can expect in the home buying process. By doing this, it can make the home buying process easier. 2024 is a great time for home buyers to buy a home. Check out this video to find out why, or this video about what happens if the housing market crashes in 2024. Thanks for watching to the end, especially if you're a subscriber.